I now understand the pain that all of the audio people in the world go through, because it is in fact a pain. I think I have stream chat set up a little bit better this time, so hopefully I see messages pretty quickly. We'll see. Also, my guy is huge at the moment, so maybe shrink him down just a little bit. More reasonably sized pixel art dude. The little blue knight, or I guess this is just the blue knight. The other one's the little blue knight. All right, so let's move on over to pixel art. We got a sprite in front of us, our trusty, reliable pixel art program. And this time, I actually prepared ahead of time and checked out tonight's Pixel Daily's theme. And today's theme is weird. Today's theme is less of a theme and more of... Let me pull it up here. More of a concept of like how things are done. So today's theme is 9-slice. And if you're not familiar with 9-slice, 9-slice is a technique. 9 boxes is a perfect way to demonstrate this. So 9-slice is a technique where you build your pixel art in 9 distinct pieces, right? So normally I've been doing these on a 48 by 48 grid, and we're going to try and do that again tonight. We're just going to use some colors to kind of show what I'm talking about. We'll use some green here, or maybe some blue. So the idea here is that you build these 9 distinct pieces, and then whenever you need to expand this, so say you need to expand this out to a width of 96, well, you still have a height of 48, right? What you could then do is these pieces are still your edge over here, and these pieces you just copy paste along the center. And so this is functionally how you make a lot of tile sets and things like that. So like when you think of like Mario levels, right? Like old school Mario levels, and they had the boxes that you would jump on. The boxes were of different sizes, but they all had like the same shapes and stuff. So for our little bit of 9-slice here, this could be a opportunity to use a tile map. And why a tile map will be fun, and we'll show in a second here, is now that we have a tile map, you can see that we now have this extra section down here. And this will let us make our 9-slice tiles, and it'll build the tiles down here. So stack, don't modify existing tiles, modify, reuse. Okay, so we want here. So say we're making a Metroidvania. We're going to start with kind of the easiest concept here. We're making a Metroidvania. And in this Metroidvania, we need a platform. All right, so our platform is going to have a top. You know what? This is probably easier with just a line tool to start. All right, so probably easiest to start this with this tile here. So we got our Metroidvania. We're building here, and our Metroidvania has a floor, right? So the first piece of the 9-slice is going to be the floor, and then this one is going to be where the floor ends. So we can kind of go like that, and we're basically going to take this exact same thing and flip it, put it over here. So this is the top floor of our 9-slice, just kind of the general concept here. And then beneath the floor, we're gonna have some amount of wall, right? So the floor is on something. And then this bottom section is like the ceiling of the bottom of the platform. I know that was very well specific. And then this is the center square. The center square we're going to want to keep pretty generic. And for purposes of giving some depth to this, we're going to want, you know, something like this. Some of this I'm making up as I go along, so bear with me here. So like if we were, I'm gonna pull up some reference on my other screen here. If we're looking at a game like, you know, Mega Man 2, just to pick a random number. Oh, this is probably too old. We want one of the Super Nintendo ones maybe, or not Super Nintendo, but like a little bit later ones. Because they have some more detail. Or less detail than I remember, to be perfectly honest. I thought there was like some PlayStation ones eventually. No, they're just super retro. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's what we like here, pixel art, so. I was in kind of a sci-fi mood today, so maybe we don't need as much depth to our 9-slice. I don't really know what I'm making here, to be perfectly honest. Trying to look for some inspiration. Okay. Also, my little guy got screwed up there for a second. I think A-Sprite does that sometimes. Let's start this over. Also, why are there this many tiles? Yeah, this did something weird with that. We don't want all those. Let's start with some grass. Why don't we... This is... Okay. I need to, like, make a... I understand now. Alright, so we're just going to make a very general shape here. And that is going to create... don't do that. That is going to create our basic tile map. And you'll see that there are more tiles than there should be, but that's okay. So we don't need this one, and we don't need this one. So the shape looks a little weird down here, but we have our 9 tiles. 9? That one. This one and this one. There we go. There's our 9 tiles. That got super messed up because... Alright, we have 9 tiles. Perfect. And we're going to do like a grassy platform floating in the air is what I've decided. So what would a... Just looking for some inspiration here. So for this top part, we're going to need kind of 2 layers of grass here. And the reason for that is there has to be the area that the character kind of interacts with. might be easiest to start in like the center. And what I'm going to do here is we're making just some grass. This is like the background grass that theoretically our character would be standing in front of this grass. Our character would stand on this level here. And something like that. There we go. Some grass over here as well. And try and vary this up a little bit so it doesn't look totally uniform across the back there. There would probably be a much lighter color for this like foreground area here. I'll do that for now. And this can kind of transition back. So it gets a little bit darker as it goes back there. You know what? This line would probably be that little bit lighter color as well. Oops. All right. And then in the center here, we get a much lighter grass. And then we're going to add a few of those grassy plants to the foreground. Maybe not quite as tall in an effort to keep everything pretty visibly easy to distinguish. Something like that. And we want to be careful here that we don't, anything we put on this side of this tile needs to be separate from this side of the tile. Now the corners you have a little bit more freedom with, but these center tiles, they need to be differentiated. Otherwise you're going to get some really weird interaction when you stretch out your 9 slice. Okay, so I kind of like where this is going. So we've got like a nice grassy platform here for our protagonist to run across. Our little blue knight. We'll say that our little blue knight's starring in this video game today. So he's going to be doing a good job here. Next we need to do these tiles. Now this center tile is going to be, we're going to need like a pattern that makes sense both vertically and horizontally with this center tile. And I think the easiest way to do that is going to be to create some kind of like striations that go across multiple levels. At least that's what I am thinking here. So this is where it being a tile map is going to become in handy, because what we're going to do is we're going to make this thing bigger. We're going to do 96 by 96. We're going to put this up in the corner, up here. And then what I can do is I can take this and I can take this center tile, which is this tile, and I can put a few of them together over here. And then long as we are in this mode here, anything we do to one of these tiles should happen to the others. We need to do it in this one. There we go. So say I want to create kind of a dirt striation thing. going on here. And this is where you kind of have to figure out, like, how far apart are things going to be? All right. So now we have at least the beginning of some striations. We're going to, for sake of my sanity and the ability to use the bucket tool, we're going to block off the rest of this. All right. And we want some other striations in here. Something like that. Kind of an empty spot here, so I wouldn't mind having like a little bit of something like that. That way when we go back to this, and you can see it's very diagonal right now, so we might want to get rid of some of that. And maybe we want to put some rocks in here. Maybe there. This is where that difficulty in the corners and the edges really kind of comes in. And these rocks, I think they're going to look a little better if we, you know, give them a little bit of darker rock around them as well. Give them a little bit more substance to them. It's alright to go back through and modify things as we go. And the fun part about doing this on a tile set is that you can add in details that like you think feel good somewhere, and that since they appear on all the tiles, you can kind of see how they play out over the course of it. Now, I think these rocks maybe are not dark enough. So we're going to darken those up a little bit. And same with this one. All right, so now that we have like a general idea of what we're doing, we can start filling in the rest of these tiles. Let's see here, get some of this up here. Still trying to create variation. I'm going to keep this hard line on the edge though to help differentiate the tiles from each other. And this one in the center, once again, is going to be a little bit tricky because we want it to look all right next to each other across the top. Which I think we're accomplishing all right. One thing I think works pretty okay sometimes, you can take like a sliver from this one and use that to populate a good chunk of one of your other pieces. And sometimes just like giving it a quick horizontal flip can help. In this case, I think I'm gonna lop off a chunk. Not bad. I think I'm gonna give it like just a little bit of this down here, and we try not to have a single pixel that doesn't make sense if we can help it. Alright, so what happens if we duplicate this on the other side? It's a little too samey, so we're gonna vertical it. That's not bad. All right, so far, so good. Last bit is this bottom section, which we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna take a chunk like this. I'm going to flip this, kind of create some artificial variation. We don't want to flip it vertically though. That was probably not the smartest idea. Yeah, I'll have to go through and fix some of these. Yep. Alright, well, I kind of did that in a silly way. Okay, we need a smaller chunk. Alright, first let me fix this. Otherwise it's going to bug me. And that's because I flipped it vertically. All of the highlight color was on the bottom. Let's take a slightly different chunk for this corner. It's a great way to give a uniform look without causing yourself too much extra work. Get rid of a couple of these errant pixels that didn't look quite right. And I don't think we want all right, so now what we want to check is this pixel, or this one. See how that looks next to each other. And on this one, there's quite a bit going on here. So I'm going to just reduce some of the color and add a little bit more of this striation in the middle here. That's like a little too long. There we go. That doesn't look half bad. All right, so now if we were to take this and make a platform out of it, it would be scalable to size. There are some things that I would probably change on this. One thing is, and maybe we can kind of get some of that depth back, but the problem is that it's wider in the front than it is in the back, so you can't just add the depth there. So I kind of need the entire platform to start farther out. which is like not the end of the world, but it is a thing. So like if we took a chunk of this, all right, and we still kind of want a rounded corner. All right, so that gives the platform a much more full look. It doesn't have as much of the like hanging overhang on the grass there, which is good. This as a whole is very busy and probably could be benefited from being made a little bit more uniform. So why don't we try to do that like super quick? This is going to be a little cumbersome because how we're going to do it, but that's okay. It's on a separate layer, so no need to fret. So we have the general shape that we want. If we want this to be less busy, we need to create like a pattern. So it's going to be less realistic because it's going to be patterned, but it will look probably a lot better is my assumption. So I think we're going to start with not the darkest color. That's a good place to start. We're going to take the middle and immediately fill that in with something here. And then what could we do for a pattern? We could looking for some quick inspiration. See if I can think of something. I mean, one option is that we create almost like bricks of sorts. I guess these are more just like ridges than bricks. So we could do something like this. And then we would probably want to take like a highlight color and go along the bottom of these to make them seem like they're shadowed, kind of like a crack in the dirt. I think this is going to look much less busy, and though it is uniform, it's not distracting in its uniformity because there's not like an overabundance of detail that is trying to like pull your eye in. I think this color might be too bright. We want something a little bit lighter because honestly, the dirt isn't important. When you're making a game, you want it to be very, very clear where the player not only can be, but should be. and they don't need to be in the dirt. The dirt is not helpful to them. I think we could, to help give it a little bit more definition, could do something like that. Maybe a less extreme color. So like one darker. We could do just some little bits like this. Trying to decide what would look good. This is the part where we kind of want to break up the uniformity. And like, it is going to still look uniform, but it doesn't have to be overly uniform. Because it's a tile, so it's gonna have a lot of similarities across it no matter what you do. I don't hate that. I'm going to take this one in the middle, flip it horizontal, give it a little bit more variation. Down here, maybe do something like this. Like do like even a little bit extra down at this bottom layer, because it's just going to be naturally darker down here. Not sure how that looks, but I don't want to spend too much more time on this. And then maybe a little bit lighter dirt up here. Put back in the occasional pebble. No, I don't think that's needed. Honestly, this is too much down here, so we'll just clean that up a little bit. Once again, trying not to leave random pixels around if we can help it. Alright. I think that looks pretty okay. I like that a little bit better. So we're going to take this layer, hide it for a second, go back to this one. Yeah, that looks much more pleasantly video gamey. Oops. Now, if you were going to do a full tile set, you would obviously have many more tiles, because you would need tiles that would allow you to not only have the outside corners, but the inside corners. But today's wow, my brain just totally fried. Today's prompt was a 9 slice, which I think we have successfully created. Nothing fancy. Isn't going to blow anyone away, but definitely gets the job done. So let's get this saved. Over in my Pixel Dailies and call it 9 slice. Definitely a fun bit of practice. Going to export this, and we'll throw it over to the Pixel Dailies. Alright, hashtag pixel underscore dailies. That's a dash. Dailies. theme is 9slice. Alright, went for a classic platformer look. Fun to mess around with tile set tools again. Awesome. Platformer's a word. Silly Google. Doesn't even know what words are. Alright, we can close the Twitters down. Don't need any more of that. And I will remember to highlight this later. Let me update the stream info, and we will go play some cassette beats.